This is the tricky part. We've got the harpoon in, and we've just got to play this croc around. It's taking off again. Pull too hard though. The harpoon may come out. I've just got this rope on the top jaw. Right, pull it tight. Right, now. There. That's right. Yeah, the old crocodile alarm went off again. Hey, croc? Yeah, right. Here. All I have to do is quickly tie these jaws together. See, like this with this tape. And we'll be able to lift her into the boat. Now, this is not a big croc, but it's deemed to be a problem animal. And if I don't take it back to the farm, someone's going to shoot it. So, poor old crocodile doesn't have much option. It's either a bullet or back to my crocodile park. Next is to make the scones I've been talking about. So it's 2 cups of self-raising flour, and when it's sievered, that aerates the flour, makes the scones a lot lighter. About 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now out here we don't have a teaspoon, so that's about 1/4 teaspoon. And milk. Righto, now about 1 cup of milk. So I've got powdered milk, so we just drop that in there. That's about 1 cupful. Righto, now we don't always have this luxury out in the bush. The butter. So I've got melted butter. To make really good scones, you do need the butter. Right, we drop that in there. Now, a little bit of a bonus. Put some sultanas in there. There we are. Because it was powdered milk, I have to add some water. Yes, warm water. Mix that up for a minute or 2. Dry flour out on the table. Put the mix in there, in onto that flour. Just knead it up just lightly. Just a little oil in the bottom of the camp oven, and it's best to preheat the camp oven so it's nice and hot. Just put the lid back on and I'll cut up these scones into the camp oven. Little bush brush, and I'm just going to glaze the top of these scones onto the coals for about 10 to 15 minutes. How's that for a good batch of scones? Cup of tea time. Take it away. When you're out in the bush for weeks at a time, it's often really good to have something different, something a little bit sweeter. So what I'm going to make up here is a nut and raisin cake. And this one's particularly good for the bush because you don't need eggs and you don't need butter. Right, the first thing is flour, 2 cups of flour, a tablespoon of caster sugar, a small quantity of mixed spices, mix it in there. Now I'm going to add the sultanas and the raisins. Just break them up. In they go. Small cup of warm milk, and I'm using powdered milk out in the bush, and around about a tablespoonful of golden syrup. That's only a dessert spoon. Mix it all up and add it into the mixture. There we are. Stir it up. I'll put it on the coals for about 40 minutes. The nut and fruit cake should be ready, so let's have a look. Just take the lid off. Well, that looks pretty good to me. A really good way to knock up a feed in the bush is what I call my version of a Johnny cake. A couple of cups of self-raising flour in a container, bit of salt, some milk, dry milk out in the bush, and a few sultanas if you like. You don't have to put the sultanas in, and make a real sloppy mix. And that's just about ready to pour into the frying pan. Plenty of oil. This is the only disadvantage of cooking like this, is you need a fair bit of oil out in the bush. Get the oil fairly hot, keep it away from the flame, and just pour your mixture in there, right round. When that's cooked underneath, I've got to turn it over. A little bit of golden syrup, and that is a really good snack. Now, if you don't particularly enjoy making your bread in a camp oven on the open fire, this could be the answer. We've got here a bread maker, only a small machine. Now, to drive it, we need an inverter. This is a 600 watt inverter. All I have to do is connect up to the 12 volt onto the positive and the negative. Now, this little box here will convert the 12 volt to 240. Oh, this looks pretty good. Easy baked bread mix, pumpkin and chives. Right, so it's just a cup of water into there. It's about 1 1/4 teaspoons of yeast in there, and 3 cups of flour. One of the great advantages of working out in the bush, of course, if you drop anything on the floor, on the ground, you don't have to worry about sweeping it up. Right, there's our third one. And there, make sure that that's down, close it, switch it on. Selection here, just away we go, and come back in 3 hours, we'll have a perfect